Welcome back to the grand finals of CALLOUS Invitational 3. Triangles and Asta best of 5, and Triangles took a very close and tight game 1. Let's get straight into game 2, and we'll switch sides for continuity. Triangles will once again be on the bottom, and it's going to be Asta on the top. It's going to be a lead Skarm and a Metagross for Asta. Moltres comes in immediately, and it gets Thunder Punch right out the gate. Chunks him for 53%, which happens to be what he has left. But nevertheless, Asta gets out of the way, not wanting to get hit with a Fire Blast. Indeed, Triangles goes straight for Fire Blast, so good thing Asta got out of the way. And he's got a Coon here, which is on the bad end of a critical hit, but nevertheless takes it pretty well. Celebi switches in for Triangles. Asta's got a Skarm. This looks different than his standard Skarm Bliss, but nevertheless, he is still Skarming it up. And there is Spike's Lair number 1. Make that Spike's Lair number 2. And Spike's Lair number 1 now for Triangles coming down. Third Lair for Asta. And second Lair for Triangles. Very well may be about to put a third Lair down himself. Metagross switches in. We know that it's got Thunder Punch, indicating a mixed meta. And there is the third Lair from Triangles. Thunder Punch does come down, 42%. 10% Para kicks in, luckily for Asta. Whirlwind gets off anyway, though. And it's going to blow out Coon, who's already pretty low at 37%, though there is no sand right now, so he does get lefties. Blissey comes in for Triangles. That should wall the Coon all day. And it is a straight surf here from Asta, trying to punish the Skarm should it stay in and go for a Whirlwind, but that is not what occurred. Calm Mind comes down. And Thunderbolt there, that does a nice little chunk. Good thing Asta didn't get cute and go for Roar. Would have been chunked even more, but he still takes 23% from the T-Bolt. Celebi comes in at this point, anticipating a rest. He's correct about that. He can now Leech Seed it very safely if that's what he wants to do in order to phase this guy out. And Skarm comes in for Asta. Leech Seed is indeed the play, and that will connect. So that's going to sap him. Skarm is going to be able to phase Celebi out here if he doesn't switch out himself, which he may. And they both end up switching. We end up with the meta on the Skarm again. The Skarm's still paralyzed, of course, from before. Meta can threaten it with Thunder Punch here. He could also anticipate a switch and go for Mash. Celebi comes in, and Asta not able to make that prediction. He does Thunder Punch into it, doing a paltry 9%, which Celebi largely shrugs off with the lefties. Here's Protect, just in case boom. And that is sniffed out fantastically for Triangles. A perfect example of why surprise value can be so brutal. Protect is not a move on Celebi. You cannot fault Asta there for making that play. There is no way you could have anticipated Protect there. But in fact, that's what Triangles had. And Asta is going to blow into thin air, giving Triangles the advantage. However, Asta roaring back with a big DD tar here, gets the Para flinch off, goes again with Rock Slide at +1, and gets the flinch for a second time. DD tar looking threatening for Asta. No bulky water shown from Triangles, and even if there is one, it must come in on 3 layers of spikes and a +1 tar. Dugtrio, exactly what Triangles needs to have here, will still be faster than the T-Tar despite the Dragon Dance, and down goes the Tyranitar. Triangles gets the Dugtrio get out of jail free card. That's exactly what he needed to have, and it comes in clutch. Asta opts for Jolteon this time around. That prompts Claydol, the last poke for Triangles. There is no bulky water on the team. And Roar is going to come down, hitting Celebi. So the question becomes, does Jolteon have HP Ice here? Which is what he would need to punish Celebi. And indeed he does, but it only does a third. Celebi gets the recover off despite that. And Celebi now safe from a non-crit Hidden Power Ice should Jolteon push the issue. He may just Roar here. He opts for a Thunder Wave instead. And it is a recover turn. Maybe Roar is better there. It depends on what comes out. But Thunder Wave is going to be annoying for Celebi, even though he can Natural Cure it away. There are 2 Natural Cure pokes still in play for Triangles, and in fact, Natural Cure happening now. Claydol comes in. There is still an unrevealed for Asta. It could theoretically be Gengar. Drill Peck comes down, and Triangles does not play around it. He does go straight Rapid Spin. There is no Ghost. Down go those spikes, and Asta is definitely behind at this point. Not only down a Pokemon, but also the 3 layers are beneath his team. He does not have a spinner, almost certainly, whereas Triangles did bring one. Here comes Coon having to step on those spikes on the way in. Moltres Fire Blast into the Coon. That's the second time it did that, which is bad. Pressure is adding up already. Moltres down to only half of its initial Fire Blast because he's using 2 PP every time he does it into the Coon. And Blissey going to be the response. Triangle's looking good in this game as well, and he took game 1. If Triangles were to get off to a 2-0 lead, which right now it looks like he's probably going to do, he would be in fantastic shape to close out Asta and be the champion of this tour. And he would be the first winner in this tour to do so without dropping a set. There's Thunderbolt on Coon. And Coon does have rest talk, but he's not finding what he needs. He simply finds a fail rest. He's going to wake up now and be forced to rest again. That's exactly what happens, and there is Bliss ready to Thunderbolt it. 31%. There's no sand, or there is sand rather. So the lefties are not being gained for Coon either. Sleep talk and rest. He has not gotten lucky with the sleep talks. He's found rest repeatedly. Thunderbolt now has him to the point where he will die to another one. He's only killed 1 sleep turn, so he would have to find Calm Mind here just to survive. And Asta going to attempt to do it. Sleep talk finds Surf. That is not Calm Mind. And indeed, Thunderbolt will take out the Coon. Asta in a world of hurt now. Down to only 3 Pokemon. We still don't know what one of them is. But Skarm and Jolteon not looking good to sweep in this situation. In fact, Triangle's team seems really good against Jolteon between the Blissey, the Celebi, and the Claydol, who all handle it pretty darn well. Spikes and T-Wave respectively. There is Soft Boiled as opposed to Thunderbolting into the Volt Absorb Jolteon. He's being careful not to accidentally heal it here, but Skarm does not take Thunderbolts well. And the last poke for Asta is a Swampert here, a second water Pokemon. That comes in on the Thunderbolt turn. Swampert is not gaining lefties. That could be an Endpert. That would make a lot of sense on the team. And yep, Substitute would certainly suggest that that is the case. I believe it is an Endeavor Swampert that we're seeing here. Can that make the comeback for Asta? There is Protect. And it's going to be a fail sub for Asta as well. So both players essentially do nothing with the turn. Recover there, because why not? And again, just substitute for Asta. This could get a little grindy if they're just going to sit here and stare at each other, which might be the optimal play for Triangles. If he doesn't have a good switch, he might just sit here and stall it out. And in fact, Asta is just using sub over and over and over. It's got 16 base PP. He's got 12 of them left, and he's not shown a single move other than substitute up to this point. And in fact, that's what he does again. This can't possibly end well for Asta. He will run out of substitutes long before Celebi runs out of things to do. And there's Hidden Power to Puppet, but that's going to be met with a sub that actually works this time. And Swampert is going to go lower than he was before. 26%, keeping in mind that he can sub down to just 1% the next time the sub is popped. Protect and sub respectively. Swampert still absolutely refusing to blink, keeping in mind that Endeavor, which he all but certainly has and shows now, has 8 base PP. And Hidden Power came down on the Endeavor turn. That seems bad because Swampert didn't eat its Salac Berry, and it would in fact die now to the faster Celebi going for Hidden Power. So Triangles gets the better end of that interaction as well, and the Swampert is forced out, or it would just die to Hidden Power, so he had to get out of the way. Recover comes down. Drill Peck, Asta desperately fishing for a crit or to get some kind of momentum going, but it just does not seem to be cooperating for him, and Triangle seems to have a real stranglehold on this game. Asta's reestablishing spikes. That's fine and well, but Claydol can simply spin them away, even should Asta get them back down. And there is the third layer, so they're down, but there's nothing that's going to keep them down. Not to mention, it's hard for Asta to switch. It's bad if he stays because of Leech Seed. It's bad if he switches because of spikes. He's really between a rock and a hard place here. And these Drill Pecks are not going to be sufficient between the faster Celebi and the Leech Seed. Celebi Hidden Power here. It does trivial damage, but the point is that the Skarm cannot actually kill the Celebi either here. Even crits wouldn't be enough. Celebi can just recover off any critical hit that it may receive. But Asta content to just stay in here. doesn't see another play that he likes. He's just going to stay in and presumably let the Scarm die. So these guys are going to go back and forth. Hidden Power, Drill Peck, respectively. Scarm's starting to get low. This is a slow process. Here comes Swampert. He dips down to 1%, tries to sneak in on a recover turn. That's exactly what happens. He needed to sneak in on a recover turn. Even Leech Seed would have killed him from that HP. But he gets in when he needs to, and Salac Berry kicks in. However, Asta overpredicts and goes Ice Beam as opposed to Endeavor. Endeavor would have killed the Celebi in conjunction with the Sand, but it did not go down like that, and Swampert is going to go down. Celebi here in great shape to do all the work for Triangles and give him a 2-0 lead. Jolteon desperately fishing for a crit. A crit would have been enough, but it does not come. Celebi is now out of crit range, and I think Asta now is officially in trouble. I don't think it's possible for him to win this game anymore, but he is going to try his damnedest. There's a Thunder Wave and an immediate full power. That's a good start. He would have to get a series of either crits or full paralysis or maybe a Leech Seed miss here, but I think it's just recover, and it is just recover. Celebi at 92% here, but even should Astamatitos kill the Celebi, the Blissey and the Moltres would both be quite the issue. Even Claydol might be an issue at that point. Asta not willing to concede. He's gonna play it out. Through the paralysis and the imperfect accuracy, Leech Seed will get off. That's going to force Asta out of the way. Triangle's not able to anticipate that and get Moltres in. That would have been backbreaking. He stays in with the Celebi, who gets recover off. Asta can just not punch through this Celebi. Yeah, it's just been in forever. Triangles has not shown another poke in quite some time. It finally switches now. Here's Claydol. He comes in on Drill Peck, 20% there. Gonna shrug it off. Absolutely nothing Asta can do but sit there helplessly and watch the inevitable rapid spin. All those spikes are gone. And there is Drill Peck now from Asta. That's the best he can do for 18%. That's going to be well short of what he needs to be doing. Psychic from Claydol, 11%. Drill Peck from Asta, trying to get any kind of knockout momentum that he can. Trying to beat up this Claydol 1v1. The Psychics are not doing a lot. Drill Peck doing more. 13 and 17% respectively. Drill Peck last time did 19, Psychic did 11, so Drill Peck's clearly hitting harder in this situation. 12% Psychic, 18% Drill Peck. Claydol lives to fight another day. Does he have Explosion this whole time? There's the full para, and there is merely a Psychic. Drill Peck still would be good enough on this turn if he were to get it off, but a full para kicks in again for Asta, and that obnoxiously is going to put Claydol in range to where he will probably survive a Drill Peck now. Psychic, Specs Drop, and Drill Peck, and obnoxiously for Asta, Triangles does survive at 1%. Protect now. Scarm had not been trying that before. Psychic going to blank on that. There was a Specs Drop, so the Psychics will be doing a little bit more, but it's still not anything crazy. Protect is going to fail here. He doesn't try to kill it with Drill Peck, and there is the Psychic for 18% now. Definitely an increase from before, and Claydol is now out of Drill Peck range. Scarm has plenty of Drill Peck PP, so that's not the problem. He just values his Protect and his lefties at this point, but Claydol gaining lefties right there with him through the sand. Protect comes down again. That's a 50-50 Protect through a para, so that was actually against Asta to succeed, but he gets there. Psychic, 16%. And finally, Drill Peck again, 18%. However, Claydol is out of range. Protect, successful through the para. And Earthquake. There are still 5 Psychics left for Claydol. Asta is trying to stall him out of it, but Triangle's catching on to this plan and not wasting them. There's 18% on this one. And layer number 1 of Spikes. That might just prompt a rapid spin here from Triangles, as opposed to getting cute with a Psychic or an Earthquake. But no, he sees it differently. He goes straight Psychic here. And Spikes layer number 2 comes down for Asta. Both pokes low at this point. Protect, anticipating another Psychic. And it's going to block rapid spin, better than nothing. Doesn't matter for PP purposes, but does at least keep the spikes down and gain some lefties. Failed protect coming down now. Bad end of psychic. Scum not in good shape. He's going to fall to just 6%. 12 after lefties. Would die to a psychic here. Protect gets off, but he still might die to the follow-up psychic should he go for it. He's only got 2 of them left, so he's got to be careful. That was a rapid spin turn that got blocked. Protect is going to fail this time, 50-50 through the para, and there is the psychic knockout, and Asta's down to just Jolteon. He realizes that will not be enough, and he will concede. Triangles here with a 2-0 commanding series lead, and he is the one in the winner's bracket as well, so he is in extraordinarily good shape to win CALLOUS Invitational 3. He needs to win just one of the next 3 games to win it right here, and even if he were to choke and lose all 3 of them, he would get a brand new best of 5 against Asta to try his luck then. So Triangle's odds on by far is looking like he'll be our champion. We will see if he can close it out in the 3rd game coming up next. Rate, comment, and subscribe.